Welcome to episode 5 of the Online Learning Podcast. Are you making the most of the person you can be? Online learning is your gateway to expanding your horizons in a direction you may not even have thought of. Hello, I'm John Colley. Here on the Online Learning Podcast, we challenge you to find the online learning courses to take you to your next level. Expert in something? Why not create your own course and monetize that expertise? Come on, open this door with me and step inside the Online Learning Podcast. Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Online Learning Podcast. It's great to have you back with me today. I've got a really interesting interview in the photographic and video space for you today. We're talking to Phil Ebiner from the Online Video School, and we're going to have a look at his courses and the contribution he's making to online learning and what you can learn from him, particularly around After Effects and those sorts of things. So we'll get on to that, but first of all, I'd like to take you to the first segment of the Online Learning Podcast, and we're going to look at today's marketing tip of the week. And now, the Online Learning Podcast's marketing tip of the week. In today's marketing tip, I'd like to introduce you to a creative use of discount codes. Now, these are really important, particularly on Udemy, where you will often find that if you offer a discount code to a student who's already bought a course, it's very likely, or there's a good chance, he'll buy again from you. So what I'm suggesting is that at the end of one of your existing courses, where potentially you have also a follow-on course, you put in an extra little lecture introducing that course and offering an exclusive discount to the student for him to go over to the other course and take that course. So you've got his attention, he's just done your course, he's obviously really enjoyed it because he's completed it, and then you offer him the opportunity to get a great deal on your next course while he's still interested and motivated and he's been learning from you. And hopefully that warm lead will then convert, at least in a significant number of cases, and you'll be able to sell your next course. So that's it, another creative use of discount codes on the Udemy platform to help you with your marketing. Now we come to the main segment of the podcast, which is the interview. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we are talking today with Phil Ebiner, and we're talking all about online video. So without further ado, let's crack on over and let's meet Phil. And now it's time for this week's Course Creator Interview. Today I'm really pleased, actually, and delighted to welcome probably the most prolific course creator I've come across. Philip Ebiner is a video expert par excellence, and in fact, I was reading one of his posts this morning. He's just signed up or gone beyond 15,000 students on Udemy, which is really quite breathtaking. So, Philip, first of all, many congratulations and welcome to the Online Learning Podcast.
Thank you so much for that intro. I've never had an intro as great as that one. I'm really happy to be here and to give you and your audience my tips, my suggestions, and some great discounts for my classes.
I think it'd be great to get started by perhaps just giving you a chance to explain who you are and what you do, so people understand a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I am from Los Angeles, and being from Los Angeles, you always have the idea of the film industry in Hollywood in the back of your brain. And so growing up, I started getting into video creation through high school and school. And so I went to college for film production. There I studied under some great professors. I got to travel around and make documentaries around the world, and I focused in on video editing. And so that's kind of my background. I do professional video editing and video production as pretty much actually a full-time job, and then I also do the course creation as a part-time hobby. I don't call it a job because I love doing it, and it's just a hobby for me right now, even though I spend so much time doing it. But yeah, I went from college at the University of Loyola Marymount, where I studied and I interned at some great production companies in Hollywood, and then I kind of started doing my own thing, doing my own productions after that, and working around the industry for 2 years. And then I fell upon working at a school doing all of their marketing videos and actually creating videos for their new online classes that they were launching. And this was the first time that I really thought about online education or the combination of video and education at all. And so I had to do a lot of research into what online education is, what are the different platforms, what are the different class types. And so that's kind of where I first started hearing about all these new online education platforms. And I first heard of Udemy, where professionals from anywhere could create their own content. And that was back in October of 2012. And I just went wild with it. And I started my first course. And do you want me to get into that right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm amazed. So that's less than a year ago. That's about 10 months ago.
Yeah, I'm almost hitting my year anniversary of teaching online courses. It's been a wild ride.
No, it's absolutely amazing. With all the courses you managed to produce and all the students you've got, it's quite phenomenal.
Yeah. So I started back in October of 2012, and I basically just thought to myself, well, I know how to video edit. That's my professional skill. That's my expertise. And there's different programs that you can use for video editing, and I knew a few of them. And so I just picked one of my favorite ones and kind of came up with a class outline and started shooting and recording. And that first course took so long to create. I spent so many hours, recording and editing it and trying to make it as perfect as possible. And it's a lot different now. I've become just more efficient at it, but it's really fun doing it. And of course, it's different than teaching in front of a classroom because you're just in front of a camera at home. But I got used to that, and I put up my first course, which was my video editing 101 complete guide. Mm-hmm. And that was in October. And from there, it's like, well, how do I get students? And Udemy, and which is where I host my courses, they were relatively new back then, and they didn't have as much dialogue between with the instructors, and they didn't have as many tips and things that worked so far. And so I was kind of just doing it on my own, and I reached out to my friends and my family, and literally, if I got 25 students in that course, and I was jumping off the roof. I was so excited that I had 25 students, and it was. I think I had it I wasn't selling it at first, and after I had 25 students or so, I put a price on it, and at some point in that first month, someone purchased it, and it was just. Then the light bulb struck, and it was just like, wow, this could actually work. And it was really slow at the start, making less than $100 for the first couple months. But I just went into hyperdrive and started creating more and more courses, and now I have over 15,000 students.
Can you comment? I mean, say as much or little as you want, because this is a very private question. We haven't actually discussed it in the pre-chat, but can you sort of give an estimation of the split between your free and your paid students? Have you managed to get most of these students paid? Because when I started my first course, I gave a lot of free vouchers out. I've really pretty well stopped doing that now. But how have you? What's been your strategy?
Yeah. Well, I've definitely tried to split or get a lot of students by giving away free courses. And I started out and with most of my courses still, I'll give out a handful of free coupons to that course. And so when you look at my numbers, and if you're, a fellow instructor, or if you're an audience member and you see 15,000 students and you start calculating, oh, well, the average price of his class is $50. Wow, he must be making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, I wish that was true, but unfortunately, because I've given away a lot of free courses, that's not true. But the split is probably about, honestly, probably 2/3 are free right at this point. But that still leaves about 5,000 students that have paid for my courses. I also have, and not only do I give away some of my courses for free at the beginning with free coupons, I also have free courses. So I have, a basic Photoshop tools class. I have light versions of my courses where they contain just a minimal amount of the content that you would get in the paid course, but that's available for free. Yeah. So that's also how I get a lot of students.
Yeah, no, that's really helpful. Can you comment on what your best month has been?
Yeah, my best month to date was August of 2013. So just recently, and that, it from the beginning, the amount of money I was making was increasing pretty steadily with each month. And then there was a month where I was busy. I wasn't promoting my courses. I wasn't creating new content. And so it dropped, but then it jumped back up in August of 2013 because I launched 3 new courses, which I'd been working on for the past couple months. And so that was my most successful month. Do you want me to give you hard numbers of how much?
As much as you're prepared to comment on, it's entirely up to you.
Well, I'm totally prepared to say that because I like being very clear about that as well. And so I made about $4,000 that month, which was my highest month. And some people make a lot more money than that. Some people are barely making anything. But for me, I come from a simple background. And this is like a hobby right now. I would love to get to the point where I feel confident in it, that I can transition to doing this full time and rely on it as a full-time income. But I'm still a little bit hesitant. I like having other work besides this, just to have multiple income streams. And so we'll see in the next few months if it continues to grow. The other thing with that too is I'm continually building up content, and so each month I'll have a spike in income because I'll release a new course or every other month or whatever. But one of my fears is that if I stop creating content, will the income just slide down and eventually die? Of course, that would probably happen if I stopped promoting it and just let it sit for a long time. But I wanted to get to the point where, I don't have to keep creating new content to sustain the amount of income that I'm making from it.
Yeah. So we're going to spotlight one of your courses today. Which one do you want to focus down on?
So we're going to spotlight one of my favorite and new courses. It's the Adobe Lightroom 5 Crash Course. And this is another of those courses where it was, sorry. You're going to edit this, right, afterwards?
No, we'll just keep it flowing. Don't worry at all. We'll just keep it flowing.
Sorry. Okay, sorry, John. So Adobe Lightroom 5 is one of my recent courses that I produced, and Adobe Lightroom 5 just came out with the new Adobe Creative Cloud release. Yeah. So those of you designers and who know about Adobe products, they just released Adobe Creative Cloud. And so when these companies come out with a new release, it's a good thing for online instructors because there's new content to teach, but it's also a bad thing because if you have a class about the old version, you have to update or redo that class.
Yeah.
And so Adobe Lightroom 5, it's a great program for photo editing, and it's actually really easy to use. I use it all the time for my travel photography. All of my professional wedding photographer friends use it, just because it's very efficient. It's easy to learn. And so the class, it has a few hours of content. I go through everything you need to know to do some photo editing, from importing and organizing your photos. I teach you all the different tools that you use while editing your photos. I teach you some advanced techniques like filters that help remove red eye or pimples or whatever you want to get rid of. And also I talk not just about the technique of using it, but I talk about why you're using these things, and I provide examples for you, such as sunset photography and how you can really improve the look of a sunset using Adobe Lightroom. So I give you lots of examples in it.
What's the difference?
It's a great course.
What's the difference between Lightroom and Photoshop then?
So Photoshop is more, I would call, a photo manipulation software, where you're taking a photo and manipulating it in some way, whether it's adding text or deleting things from the photo. If you don't like that telephone pole in the back, you can delete it or get rid of the telephone pole. Whereas Adobe Lightroom 5 is more for your basic edit. So if you take a photo and it's too bright, you can make it darker. If you want more color, you can make it more saturated. It's more of a basic photo editing software, and it's way easier than Photoshop to use and more efficient, because Photoshop I used to use for photo editing, but it just takes a long time because you basically have to reset after every photo. In Lightroom, you can basically copy and paste different settings from one photo to the next, and it's just really easy.
So is that about the equivalent of Aperture for the Mac?
Yeah, it's similar to Aperture. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I get the idea. Yes, because I use Aperture, but I haven't used Lightroom. Yeah. Okay, so who would you recommend this course for? I mean, I can understand the benefits now if you've taken a picture, and actually just looking at some of your course images, I'm looking at your art of travel photography with the lovely girl paddling in the ocean, and
that lovely girl is my girlfriend, so I'm very lucky about that. But so Lightroom it's for anybody that takes photos that kind of wants to take them to the next level. And so it's for people that do a lot of traveling and take travel photos. It's for people that take a lot of family portraits and family pictures. It's really, I think it's a program for anybody that wants to edit their photos. Of course, there's people that don't want to or won't need to edit photos because they're taking all their photos on their iPhones and camera phones now. But for anyone that still takes photos with a normal camera and has, a love for photography in itself, this is the course for you.
What's the underlying software cost? What does Adobe Lightroom cost? Is it an expensive piece of software?
So Adobe Lightroom, I'm not exactly sure what the cost is right now. With Creative Cloud, you can purchase it on a subscription model, but Adobe Lightroom, it looks like, I'm just looking up right now, it's $79 by itself. Okay. But you can download a free trial for 30 days, which is what I offer, or I tell all my students you should do. You can download it for free from the Adobe website for 30 days. Try it out, learn it through my course. If you don't like it, you don't have to purchase it, but if you end up falling in love with it, you can purchase it. Yeah. So it looks like it's about $70.
Okay, so that's really good advice. That's really good advice. So when somebody takes your course and goes through it, can you sort of describe, succinctly what they will achieve, what benefits they'll get from it? So I'm a bit of a hack with a camera, so I've got some pictures I've taken with my digital camera. And having done your course, what sort of things will I be able to do?
So you'll basically, hopefully, be able to take those average photos or those below subpar photos that you've taken.
Mine will be very
if you don't know much about photography. Okay, so you'll be able to take your subpar photos and turn them into something that surprises you, that's beautiful, that has nice color, nice lighting. You'll be able to use the crop features to make sure that the composition is right. So basically, I would say it would take average photos and make them excellent, or make subpar photos and make them just average.
And how long does the course take to do? How much content have you got in there?
There are 3 hours of content.
Wow.
So there's 26 lectures. I try to break up the lectures into under 10 minutes, but there's 3 hours of content.
That's fantastic. Brilliant. Before we get on to the sort of discounts and things which you're going to make available very kindly, can we just move on to the segment where we can talk about some tips for course creators? I know you've got a couple of good ones, and I'd like to try and make this podcast interesting to both people who want to take courses, but also people who are creating courses as we are, and who can therefore learn from your experience of creating your dozens of courses now.
Yeah, I have a couple of great tips that I hope will help your listeners. So the first one is about choosing a topic that is worthwhile to you. And the tip is to don't be afraid if there's already courses teaching that subject. And this is something that I was afraid of at the start, and I'll give you a little example. So I created a couple video editing courses, and I was looking around the marketplace, the Udemy marketplace for online courses, trying to think of my next course. And I thought, well, I know a lot about green screen video editing, so editing shooting in front of a green screen and being able to edit out the green screen and put whatever background you want in it. Mm-hmm. And there weren't any other courses on that online yet. And so I thought to myself, wow, this is great. If I'm the first person that teaches this course, I'm going to get so many students. So I went ahead, spent a lot of time creating that course, but then I put it online and no one signed up for it. It was a complete failure, and it's probably one of my least popular courses to date. Because the fact of the matter is just not enough people want to learn green screen video editing. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, I was thinking later on, a few months later, I was trying to think of another course to teach. And so I know a lot about Adobe After Effects. And so I looked online again to see if there were courses in that nature, and there were. There were already a lot of courses teaching Adobe After Effects and a lot of successful courses teaching Adobe After Effects. And so I was like, well, I'll just give it a try. I'll teach it in my own style. I'll have my own content, my own examples, and everything. And to date, that's been my most successful course. And so the first tip is just don't worry if there's already courses teaching that out there. Actually, if there are, it might be a better thing, because that means that course and that topic is more popular and more relevant. So choosing a topic is really important. My other tip and piece of advice for instructors is to, before you start creating your content and creating your videos, take some time to learn how to create the video. Learn about camera skills, learn about video editing, learn about the software, whatever software you're using to make your courses, learn how to use that properly, because there's so many people teaching online now that it's becoming a very saturated market, and there's people from all over the world teaching these subjects, but the range from poor quality videos to high quality, there's still such a range, and the ones that are high quality are the ones that really stick out. And so you really have to, spend some time, learn how to use all your programs so that the final product is high quality, and it's something that people want to watch. Depending if your class is 2, 3, 4 hours, these people are going to be sitting in front of you and listening to you for that amount of time, and they want to do it with good audio, with good video, with good visuals. So take the time to learn how to use video properly for instructing.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Actually, you inadvertently you've given me a brilliant opportunity here, because there's another course creator called Mel Claro, and I've been taking his ScreenFlow course, and he has very kindly given me a free coupon for one of his courses. And what I'm saying now to my listeners is, if you want to get one of Mel's courses for free, if you leave me a review for this podcast in iTunes, and then you email me to say you've done it, and send me your email address, I will pick one of those within a very short time after this podcast airs, and I will then send you the coupon for Mel's course, and that's a $49 value. So that's a free offer from Mel, and Mel, I'll give you the links to Mel's courses in the show notes as well. But Mel, thank you very much for that. And that will help anybody who's making a course learn, because his ScreenFlow course is absolutely brilliant, but he also covers Camtasia. So if you're on a PC, that works for you. So sorry about that interruption, Phil, but Mel has given me this coupon, and that was just a brilliant segue to get that message out. Let's move on.
That's great.
Yeah, let's move on to your discount offer this week, which is really actually it's an amazing offer, really generous. And talking about Adobe Lightroom 5, because that course you normally sell for $79. What are you able to offer the online learning podcast listeners if they want to take that course? What can you do for them?
I'm going to give you guys a great deal take that course for $29, which is $50 off. So over 60% off. It's a great course with 3 hours of content. There's already 1,500 students taking the courses, and I've got some great reviews. And so it's a great course.
Brilliant. And the code for that is your code?
It'll be OLP podcast.
Okay, brilliant. What I'll do is, as I explained in my show notes, you can either use that code directly, or I'll produce a pretty link, which will be jbdcolley.com/Adobe LR5, Lightroom 5, and that will include an affiliate link. You won't pay any more, but if you want to support the podcast, please use the affiliate link. If you want to give as much money as possible to Phil, which is also a very good thing, then just use the code directly, and Phil will get much more of the $29, and Udemy will still get their slice, which they more than earn, and I'm very happy about that. So that's really brilliant. We did talk about a couple of other discounts for a couple of the other courses that you were prepared to put out there. Would you want to talk about those now?
Yeah. So I want to also offer my Adobe After Effects Complete course, which, as I mentioned earlier, that's been my most successful course to date. That one also has over 2,000 students, over 100 5-star reviews, and I'm going to offer that one for $29 as well. And normally that one costs $99 with the same coupon code OLP podcast. So get the After Effects course for only $29. And after you take that course, if you want, you can take my How to Create Your Own Video Intro course for $29 as well. That is my newest course, and that one's all about creating video intros. So this is a great one for online instructors, for anyone with a video channel, with a video brand. I think creating a video intro for your videos is a great idea, and I teach that one using After Effects as well. So taking the After Effects course first, and then the How to Create Your Own Video Intro course would be a great next step, and both available for $29 with the OLP podcast coupon.
That's fabulous. And I'll set up pretty links so you can get those by going to jbdcolley.com/After Effects or jbdcolley.com/CYOV, Create Your Own Video. So those will be the pretty links, and everything will be in the show notes, so you can go there. And I'll also show you how to get to Phil's courses through Udemy, and how you can search and what you have to put into the search thing to get all his courses that come up on one page, and you can then start to delve into them and have a good look. So, Phil, I really appreciate your time today. I know it was quite early your end, because we're at the opposite ends of the clock. I'm sitting here recording it at 6 o'clock UK time in the evening, and I think it must be about 9 a.m. your time on a Monday morning. So, a bit of a stark shock to the to start the week. But I'm really grateful for your time and your insights. And it's amazing to talk to somebody who's been so incredibly successful on Udemy. I don't think I'll ever catch up with you, but I shall certainly give it a jolly good try, certainly get to where you've got to.
Yeah, great. It's been a pleasure being on the podcast, and, I'll come back anytime.
That would be great. Yeah, we're definitely going to get you back in a year or so's time, and you'll probably sort of dominate the photographic space by then. It'll be, Ebiner courses wall to wall.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll see.
Okay. Phil, many thanks. Have a great day. Have a good week.
Thank you, John.
Well, that was a fabulous interview with Phil. And again, Philip, thank you very much for your time and all your knowledge. I am completely in awe of the number of courses and the quality of the courses you're producing. And it's really a goal for us all to aim at. So really interesting to hear all about Phil's courses, and all the details will be in the show notes. Now let's turn to the free course segment, and let's hear what I'm going to have for you this week. Let's take a look at this week's free course of the week. This week's free course is Photoshop for Artists, which has been produced by Stone River Learning and Chad Walker. Now, if you're new to Photoshop, that doesn't matter. This will include an introduction to Photoshop to help you get started. But it's all about teaching you to be a digital artist. If you're interested in creating digital art, learning art design for video games, movies or other media, or indeed learning more about graphic design from an artist's perspective, then I think this course is a great introduction. It's got 23 lectures, over 6.5 hours of content, and I think it's a fantastic introduction to the creative side of Photoshop. So you can go and find it on Udemy by putting in Photoshop for Artists into the search function, or indeed searching on Stone River e-learning. But I'll also put a link to it in the show notes so you can find it very easily. So that's it, this week's free course of the week, Photoshop for Artists from Stone River e-learning. So that's it for episode 5 of the Online Learning Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this week's content and you're going to learn a lot from it. If you want to find out more details, you can go to the show notes, which are on my blog at jbdcolley.com/OLP005, and that's always going to be the format for finding the show notes. If you enjoyed this, then perhaps you'd like to tell me the sorts of courses you'd like to learn more about and the sorts of people you'd like me to interview. You can email me, john@jbdcolley.com. I'd love to hear from you, and that'll give me a great rationale to go off and contact people and interview them on your behalf. So until the next episode, thank you for joining me on the Online Learning Podcast, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. So that's it for another episode of the Online Learning Podcast. I really appreciate you being with me. If you enjoyed the show, I would really appreciate it if you would go over to iTunes and leave me a rating, preferably a 5-star rating if you think it's worth it, and a comment. And then if you email me, john@jbdcolley.com, that's Juliet Bravo Delta Colley.com, I will send you a free coupon code to my Udemy course, An Introduction to Startups, which has got 40 minutes of video teaching you all about startups. So thank you very much for spending time with me today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. This has been the Online Learning Podcast.